Okay, welcome to day one of 525 CAD-a-thon. Today we're just going to be going over the basics of OnShape navigation. For our learning objectives, everyone will be able to navigate the OnShape menus, navigate OnShape documents, organize OnShape documents, and fully constrain sketches in OnShape. First, does everyone here in the building have an OnShape account? Raise your hand if you do not. Okay, so Ryan, would you be able to help Suhaib make his account quick? But it'll just, for those of you not here, you'll go to the onshape.com/en. You'll create a student account. You'll follow the steps and use your school email. And for us specifically, for the Swart Dogs, we'll Slack message Dakota with your school email, and he'll add you to our OnShape team. And then, does everyone here, besides Suhaib, have MK-CAD? All right, MK-CAD is what we use to import some of our off-the-shelf parts that are like common for FRC. So we're gonna go to the App Store in the top right. Can I switch what tab I'm sharing? Share the whole Google window. So going to the OnShape main menu, this is where you'll be if you're logged into OnShape. We'll go to the top right here, this go to App Store button with the 3 squares and the plus sign. You'll click on that and it'll open a brand new tab. And in the search bar, we can just look up MK-CAD. It's the first and only result. And you'll just, I think it's either install or subscribe when you see it. And it's a free plan, so you don't need to worry about subscribe costing you any money. Let me switch back to just the tab. All right, just some basics of what CAD and everything is. OnShape in specific is a parametric design tool. So it's like the idea of parameters. So some specific values that we're passing through to the program, in this case OnShape, is what we're using to define our shapes and objects that we are creating. Some other ways that you can do this is transformations. That's what you have on Blender, if any of you are familiar with that. That's what a lot of people use for animation. But for manufacturing, typically people use parametric design tools like SolidWorks or OnShape. And so how do you do this? So if we're planning to cut out a plate on the CNC, we can start with a square in our sketch and subtract material from that within the tool. Or if we're 3D printing, what we can do is add. We kind of model how we're going to make the part. Onto navigating OnShape. So I'm going to switch the tab over to OnShape. So when you're in OnShape, when you first log into the website, you all should be at a page somewhat similar to this. Does that look like what you guys have in front of you? Okay, so on the side here, there are different sections. The Owned by Me, this is just going to show your different documents, any folders you have. Recently opened, that's all the files you've opened, including stuff not owned by you or shared with you. Created by Me, that's similar to Owned by Me, but it's documents you create. Shared with Me, this is if someone emails you an OnShape document, or goes in the share menu of their OnShape document, this is where it'll pop up. For teams, for for us on 525, we have a 525 CAD OnShape team that one of our mentors controls the like aspects of the team. I'm not quite sure how you make it. If any of you are curious on that, we could ask Dakota, but an OnShape team. But within here for our OnShape team, this is where we have all of our different documents stored. So next, let's get into a document. So all of you can visit this link and make a copy to view of this document. Or if you're on the 525 CAD team, you can go to the CAD team under the folder FRC 525 CAD, under the folder training, then 2024 to 2025 CAD training, then main doc, and you make a copy of the only document that's in there. All right. Oh, how do you make a copy of the document? That's an excellent question. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right tab. All right. So for our 525 members, you'll be in this folder. You'll click on this document. And to make a copy of it, for the people not on the team, it'll just say that the document's view only, and the only option is to make a copy of it. If you want to edit it, it'll just be a bar across the top. But for us, we'll go to the 3 lines, and we'll hit copy workspace. And then for the spot that we're going to copy it to, we're going to click out of this folder and click student documents and name it so that instead of copy here, put your name. So I'd put Keegan King. And I'm just going to cancel that because I already have a document within there.
Sorry. I'll click on the 3 lines of Vice Work by 2025 CD
Yep.
column and then
Copy workspace.
and I did, and then put it to owned by me. Or how do you want it?
So for me, it started in the main doc is where it gave me. So then I hit the arrow back one time. I go to the student documents. You'd double click on that, or you can hit open, and then you'd hit copy here. But make sure you name your document something descriptive. So just changing it from saying copy to having your name. Just give me a thumbs up once you're there. Yep.
I can't quite see your screen up there. You're copying to the 525 document or you're copying to different?
You're gonna copy it still under the FRC 525 team, so it'll still be owned by the team. So is everyone there? Does anyone need me to slow down? I'll put that link back up on our TV. Yeah. Yep. Slideshow? Oh yes. I can write it on the board behind me. I didn't send it out. I can put that in the Slack really quick. I'll put it in the general channel on Slack. All right. Is everyone good to move on? Oh, Craig joined.
We're in the 24-25 training folder.
Yep. Ashton?
Which document are we in?
It's under main. the main folder, and then it's the only document in that folder, and you just make a copy of that.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
And then. That's
So are all of you, do all of you have your own document? All right. Are you just waiting to be added to the team, Suhaib?
yeah, he isn't added to the team yet.
All right.
Otherwise, I think we're in the same.
Do you want to have him go to this link and just copy it? Make a copy of it?
Okay.
If you need on the team, send me a message in Slack.
Yeah.
Just into a browser. It's a tiny URL. I mean, it's the same thing mostly anyway. Do you think we could ask if they?
All right. Ryan, can you help Gabriel get set up if he hasn't? Thank you, Ryan. All right. I'm going to move on. So, just some like basics of like how to navigate this assembly or part studio in specific. So, for your controls, if you want to rotate around like this, you would just hold down right click and you just move your mouse around, and that'll move your view. If you have a mouse, you can pan by pressing down on the scroll wheel and then moving your mouse that way. If you don't have a mouse, you'll be able to hit Control and then right click, and that'll accomplish the same thing. Your left click is just to select. You can also use the cube here in the top right to snap your view to different angles. And if you're already like in front facing like this, you can hit this darker gray and that'll flip it. And then you can use these rotate buttons here. You can pan like this. Aiden, would you be able to help Olivia? Thank you, Aiden. All right. Is everyone good on these controls to move around the assembly? Is everyone good on these controls to move around the assembly? All right. If you aren't, feel free to raise a hand or anything at any time. For those on the meet, you can unmute and ask me a question whenever. Let me switch back to the presentation for the meet. All right, so next, what we're going to do is we're going to create a part studio, and then we're going to try practicing making one of these. I'm going to go through the top left one as an example. Let me share my whole window so I can switch between these. Dismiss. All right. So I'm going to go through this first example up here. Let me get it here on my paper so I can look at it. So what we're going to do, we can hit the All Tabs button here to get out of this one folder here. And then I'm going to hit the plus sign down here in the bottom. I'm going to create a new part studio. This is where you'll make individual parts, and you can have multiple parts within one part studio. But for this, I'm just going to do one. So for this one, you can feel free to go along with me as I do it, or you can practice on your own with one of the other ones here later. But I'm just going to show some of the controls by going through this, if I can find what tab I was on. Okay. So for sketch plane, I'm going to hit the top on this cube right here, and then I'm going to hit top for the sketch plane. So that's putting this two-dimensional sketch on that plane. Josh, I do not have a link to the photos with the examples on it. So right now you can follow along with me. So first, for this, I should really, hold on. Can I split view this? How does this look? Does that look okay? Okay, so we're gonna be making this top left orange one. So I'm gonna start with a top-down view of this, and to me, I think we can start with a 70 by 50-inch rectangle here. So I'm going to hit G on my computer in the OnShape tab, or you can go up here and hit corner rectangle. And I'm gonna put the first corner here down on the origin. And then I'm just gonna click off. And I'm going to type 50 for this bottom measurement. And then I'll just hit 70 next. And that'll give me my 2 dimensions. And so right now we have a 50 by 70 rectangle. They can't see. Thank you. Can't share my entire screen. I can only share one window at a time. On the Meet, are you guys okay if I just share the OnShape tab?
Yep.
All right.
You could, do you have a link to the slide deck you have?
Yeah, I do.
You can just share that with them and they can open that up as a separate document.
Yeah. Let me grab that link. Okay. I sent a link in Slack of the slideshow we're going to use. And so I'm just going to go solely on the CAD document right now. All right, so based off the part here, it looks like we have a 30 by 20 cutout here in the bottom left corner. So I'm going to go to this corner. I'll click out anywhere really. And then that box indicates that's a measurement we can edit. So this will be 20 inches. And then this next one, I'll just click out anywhere. And that one will be 30. And then I'll just connect it down. And I'll wait until I see the bottom line is highlighted here. And there's that vertical bar. That's telling me that it's constraining. So the second point of this line is going to be on that bottom line. And this line itself is going to be perfectly vertical. Is everyone here?
I think you stopped sharing.
You think I stopped sharing? That sucks. All right.
Yeah.
Can everyone see this now? Okay. So what we did so far is we made this 50 by 70 rectangle. And then on the bottom left corner, what we did is we put a 20 by 30 rectangle that we're going to cut out of this rectangle. Is everyone here? Just give me a thumbs up or look at me when you're ready in here. You're good? Or I'm gonna walk around real quick.
Keegan, what's the dimensions on that small box?
It's 20 by 30 down here on the bottom.
Where is that?
You can also use stuff in here, so that's the corner rectangle I use. Yeah, so that's what you'll use to make the initial rectangle. Click on the origin, so that center point, and click off anywhere. Really? It doesn't really matter right now. So then type 50 while it's highlighting that. Just leave it. And then type 70 and hit enter. And that's how you'll start with the initial rectangle. So the bigger rectangle is 50 by 70. You'll have to scroll out and gain your view.
Thank you.
Yeah, these are okay.
So you most likely change.
Ryan.
So
One more Sam Smith.
Is this how big happens?
Yep, and then you'll make that smaller 20 by 30 in the bottom corner. John, you know. Okay, then that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's right.
So weird.
What am I saying So the smaller rectangle should be within your rectangle.
Okay.
That's fine. It's like just for you, keep in mind that your view is going to be rotated. Working ahead, Josh. All right, I'm going to move on. So next, I'm going to go up here and hit the trim tool, or we can hit M for those who like hotkeys. And I'm just going to snip that line. That snipped the measurement, so I'll have to redefine that. Okay, so that redefines it. So now we have that cutout in the bottom left corner. And then we have a 10-inch rectangle here that will end up being extruded out. So I'm going to start another line by hitting L. I'm going to go to this corner, click off really anywhere, hit 10, and then I'll go across and get it horizontal and vertical is fine, or you might be able to get, a constraint or in a horizontal line like this. So that gives me that rectangle that we're going to extrude out of this shape. Then next, there's the long rectangle up here at the top. That's also 10 inches wide. So I'll just go across. I'll hit the D key for distance, and you can click between these two lines, and then it'll give you the current distance between them. And then we can edit this, and I'll put a 10 to get that. So this is our fully defined two-dimensional sketch. But next we need to get it into 3 dimensions. So I'm going to hit check to confirm it. Then I'm going to use the extrude tool, clicking it up here, or you can use Shift E to begin extruding. Are these two the same? Yep. All right, so I'm going to start with these taller rectangles right now. And at first, it'll give me 2 separate parts, but that's okay. I'm just going to put in 30 for the depth here, and then we'll make these 2 rectangles 30 inches tall. Then I'll hit confirm on the sketch, locking that in. When you do that, you will not be able to see the sketch anymore, but we can just go here and show the sketch. I went to the side here, and when you hover over it, a little eyeball will appear, and then we just click that eyeball, and now it's visible again. And then we're going to extrude this rectangle, and that had a depth of 10 inches. But we want it to all be one part. So we're going to use add instead of new right here. And it'll get mad at me at first, but for the merge scope, I'm going to go down here to our parts list and have it merge with both part 1 and part 2, and that'll make it one part. And then if we hit check, we have one part. And if we want to match it to the image shows it as orange. We can edit the appearance down here by hitting edit appearance. It gives us some predefined colors. I'll just hit this bright orange. We can also change the tessellation quality. I'll talk a little bit about that later, but that makes it load quicker as just a quick thing. If this were to be used on a robot, we'd want it to have a descriptive name. So we'd hit rename and say what it'd be used for so that when we see it on the side of an assembly, we know what it is. Right now, I'm just going to keep it part 1. Josh. You're right, Josh. Josh just pointed out to me that the drawing shows this rectangle here on the side as smaller. So I'm going to go back to extrude 1, or we can go on this rollback bar and show before that was defined. And I'm just going to click this face of sketch 1 to deselect it. I'll hit that. I'll start a new extrude right there and make that 25 inches. And then if I roll back the bar past extrude 2, it did not merge with that new part we defined. That's okay. We'll just, in the merge scope, we'll edit that to include part 2. And then bam. Now we have it correct. Thank you, Josh. Does anyone need help getting to this point? All right. I'm going to walk around quick. I'm going to switch the Google Meet to the slideshow. If anyone wants to work on these while I walk around, feel free. All right. So that actually looks perfect, but to get that cut out, what we can do. Do you prefer glasses or do you prefer getting it? As in like pressing the letter, or do you prefer using the right? So then it's under this one. No. Hit the arrow.
And then click merge scope.
That's like it.
Or you click merge volume.
I don't think it's not these. Like under the arrow. Trim.
You want merge
Scissors. At the bottom. Yep, chop that one. And then chop the side one. That's fine.
What do you need?
I mean, it's right here, so you
All of you. I don't think you made a copy. Can you hit the X on your sketch 1? And then go to the 3 here. And copy the space.
the more
Once
this one's gonna be for
and just copy here. And since you're copying it with the version, you'll have it. Okay. You're gonna merge. I know. So we do that the section here. So this one will do because there's nothing to add here. So we can check.
What you don't have.
And then we'll start doing right
Well, I was wrong. No offense, but I work a lot more here to code these sheets.
I snapped it, so it would go to your schedule.
Now you're here.
Do you prefer stuff on the top or do you prefer the letters?
Tolerancing
Alright, so
something
this
that you can
Yeah, we just wanted to snip that stretching.
even the best of times, people and then of course you
All right. Is everybody caught up? Okay. Once you're caught up, I do want you to make one of these. With the dimensions, they're up here on the TV. If you can't see it that well, I sent a message in our Slack to the slideshow, so you can have the dimensions right there in front of you.
What I tend to do is I tend to start with a sketch.
Wait, are we just choosing not to start?
I find that there's usually a way to go directly from this to directly from sketch to
Yeah, you should be seeing that from him. He's like
Just copy the dimensions, but you're making one of these. Make one of them that isn't the top left.
But yeah, you can layer this through to all the things. You can't.
We already did that.
Well, like,
We already did that.
oh,
That's what I want.
That's the one that we did.
Yeah. You can't.
Wait,
You can do any of the other
what
ones.
dimension is it? What is that? Is that a 10? That is,
That's it. I think you're just not. You copied it after I finished.
It's okay.
It's in the pictures. It's like if you guys know. You remember how to hand review? Control right click to handle.
That's how you create more files. You can also create more parts in the same element. Stop for the same part studio.
You need
So start. No, I'm just showing. This is different way my brain works. So I have to stand and oh, okay. You're used to a more sheet metal. I'm used to surface. Okay, I can't wrap my head around starting from lines, but I feel
this one right here.
and then you pick what you want to do.
I'm a
Click off of it, and then you go 5 minutes.
Let me figure it out on my own. Why did you call?
like here.
So.
Okay.
Alright.
Back where I should. Okay.
Try to make a record, go back to 10 by 60.
Put the X on your schedule.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Can you make a copy of the document?
That would create a sheet metal.
That's my copy. Why does it say copy You just put it on the same document as me. Go to the 3 lines.
Oh, that's a 5.
How about thickness and then you do depth?
Not the shop.
You can do a surface.
Go to
So,
the And then, no, put your name instead of
Three-dimensional.
Okay, now.
When you've made your second part, give me a thumbs up.
But then you can go, you can flip it, so.
Yeah.
I promise we'll get into making robot parts soonish.
Yeah, so you can show some nice.
Oh, you know what?
It just makes things.
We'll just do all of it.
Okay, well, Katie, you're back now.
Make it whatever. Kind of, but
Single parts when we're talking about just the parts. It starts at one point.
So,
Oh, wait.
I see this line, but then this line right
There's
there.
also
This is maybe it's just right there. So we can either delete this line, yeah, we can just snip them using the snip thing. Or if they're sacrificed, we can make an instruction line. Alright. Lock in, make sure I'm like,
Alright, so camera 16.
you brought a map, and it's like you're not using it. What are you doing? Why is it just a line?
It's a rectangle.
Yeah, just put it off the video.
Yeah.
Experimenting with rectangles of infinite thickness.
Wait, so trim. Alright.
That's perfect.
Okay, so. The dimensions for this are 15.
Why does your extrusion stay red and why do I not see it?
Yeah.
Alright, go back to your thing.
Alright.
Oh, I forgot that you're gonna add that second rectangle.
Do you like filming things?
I'm gonna be on this so we're gonna make us.
Okay,
Now
now.
we're gonna start second rectangle.
Yeah.
We're gonna have it with thumb up.
It can be the screwdriver.
That in there, we know we go to and then we can snip up it. And then for that dimension, it'll be then, I think. You can't click on it, you have to do it without. So no, now we're gonna have to use the other. So that's
Is
it.
anyone like trying to use a trackpad? Need an extra mouse?
The dimension.
You're pretty good. I don't know.
Sorry, what were you asking?
Click on that, click off of it, hit
I
10.
brought an extra mouse.
Yeah,
We also have wired mouse.
That's 26.
I've had many years where I put on my mouse. I mean,
You can't do that on the trackpad.
what? What, 20?
Depends. It can be painful.
Double click.
Oh, and the add to all the fun. There's an OnShape app. I designed it to use mobile. It's not a good idea. It's never
Then we're gonna use the dimension. This
So
right
maybe
here.
before you You know my love for it.
No.
Yeah.
This
You
game.
know my love.
No, that's all passenger.
No, I do right one.
Okay, go back to your sketch.
No.
I did. Writing is safe
Yeah. Alright.
Dude, like, if you have
No, put that. So this is how you confirm that that's the action you want to do. You want to create this. So ignore that right now. Ignore that. So then we're gonna
Yes, I can.
we're gonna move on. I think. How close to having a second part are we?
Oh.
It's a 5.
Really excel in the automobile industry, I think.
Mm. All right. Do you two have a second part?
No, I wonder, like, when you were dimensioning this, why did you feel the need to put the dimensions on more than 3 sides?
So this slide was actually stolen from Alex Damascus. I didn't make this.
Let's blame our predecessors. That's a great strategy.
It couldn't have been stolen from Alex because Alex showed this in the last CAD.
It was in his slideshow.
And he would blame my son. He would blame somebody else before him.
Someone grabbed this from some sort of.
Made 3D CAD. It's their fault.
Yeah. All right.
It's their fault it's bad.
Brent and Kyle, we have it. A second part. Do you need help? Just time. All right.
We can delete that.
It's all math. What columns are you doing?
No.
Yeah, but the computer did it for you.
We don't know where we also.
We're running into you.
Yeah, but why would you be looking for?
Reload your CAD. It's acting like you're viewing somebody else's work.
You have to make you have to select.
I like math. You like math? It was in the.
What do you need more?
Make it all into 3 different.
The first one.
Right now, you're still looking at.
Just put it on first.
Add or
It's people's preferences. There are a whole bunch of different ways to do it depending on how you're on some. Like I've done designs where I've linked them all out of one base sketch and then extruded them all separately because the dimension I want is from the bottom to the top, and I don't want to do the adding because then I trip myself up. You can. So here's the one field that OnShape has. You can't directly parameterize it because it's on the dimension. It's just pieces as long as they're enclosed boxes, as long as they're enclosed two dimensions.
The second part?
That's what I have.
No. This one was so good, I just went ahead and stopped, just like.
At the top of the.
Okay.
I did one extrusion and then you sketch on the surface of that and add it and it would automatically add.
This is your first time doing it?
It's almost completely.
Why?
I don't do it. I've done it this last year.
Let's try
Or you could have done it society. Who makes solid notes? Solid. So you right click on the first list. Edit appearance. To change like the colors.
They make it like 3. This is like my unique part. How
All right. Who is in my document? Okay. Does everyone have their second part now?
Yes.
I'm going to move on. So next, I'm going to be talking about something that was heavily overlooked by our team last year. Let me go to the document. That was all the parts overlaid on each other. So let me just go to that. So something heavily overlooked by our team last year was optimization. So that's like making sure our CAD doesn't like take forever to load. Just making it take as little parts, as little effort for the computer to load as possible. So we can get this side menu on anywhere within a part studio or an assembly by just hitting this stopwatch here, and that'll open this menu. And then the number I would say the number we care like the most amount about is this number here. And so 500,000 for just a drive base, I would say no. We can do better than that. This shows the same drive base using the finest tessellation quality available. 5,710,000 primitives. That's like what it automatically defaults to. So it's our job when we're on these CAD documents to make sure that it does not do that. So with that same drive base, I was able to get it down to 118,000. Okay, you guys can see that slideshow. Let me go to an OnShape document now to show this. So in here, this is the document you guys have in front of you. So this has 916,000 primitives with the drive base, the shooter, all that. The thing that's going to give you the most amount of primitives are your circles. And so that's what we really care about, like minimizing the amount of primitives we have. So I'm going to show you in a tab you guys should all have. So under the top-down configurable drive base folder, there's the shooter bed folder. We're going to click that to open it. And then under shooter bed cots, which is just commercial off the shelf, this is a part studio where I imported every single off the shelf part that was one of every single off the shelf part that's going to be used on our intake or our shooter bed. And what we have to do is go to edit appearance and make that tessellation quality coarse. And what that does is it lowers the amount of primitives because automatically they're going to be set to either fine or very fine, which is like thousands of more primitives than coarse. And for coarse, you're not losing all that much dimension. Like this wheel still looks like a circle. It just, you can see more sides, but you still get the general idea, and the CAD itself knows that it's a circle. Like if I click on it, it's not going to think it's like a 12-sided shape. It's like, that's a circle with a 4 diameter, with a 4-inch diameter, as we can see in the bottom right. It still recognizes it as a like fully defined circle. It just takes less quality or time to load it.
What did you click on to change that?
So to change this, once we have a part, so I'm gonna go back to the part studio we were in with like this part. So we can see our list of parts in a part studio right here under parts. So a lot of the time we'll have one or more parts in a part studio, and we can just right click on it and hit edit appearance. And so here, this is like where you change the color, but the most important thing we need to care about is this tessellation quality in the bottom left. So automatically, that's on auto. We can see in the primitive count on the left here that since it's mostly squares, it doesn't really matter whether it's fine or not, but because like your lines and squares are going to be the most primitive shape. But let's say that I had a circle here, and I'm just going to remove this circle from it all. You don't need to copy this step. And let's go back to edit appearance. I'm going to put it on auto. We can see that the primitive count is 688 from just this one circle, because it's automatically going to that fine quality. So we just go to edit appearance, we go to coarse, and what that does is it cut it in to a third of the amount of primitives it was before. So this is something we should do on every single part. When we're like rendering a robot to be like put on some promotional images, we might like go through and change the tessellation quality to make it finer just for that one thing. But while we're working on a document, we should always have it on course so that it loads faster and so that people on Chromebooks can actually access the document.
So your quality is saved in the parts file, not in the session.
Yeah, it's saved within the part like info. It saves it to the CAD document, to the part. So on this document, actually, for the shooter bed, I imported this part from a separate CAD document, right? One that our team had, and it got the tessellation quality from that document at the latest version of it. So what I actually had to do is I went to that part in our CAD folder, and I changed the tessellation quality, and then I made a new version, and I pushed that version forward to get a part with coarse tessellation quality so that it could be used for this document that we're going to be working on. So it's saved to the part itself.
Okay.
And to that document where it's like originated. And let's say, for example, we're importing a part into here, for example, just into this assembly. I'm going to do this for an example. A lot of the time, if we're like importing an MKCAD part, we're not able to edit the appearance of it. Let me see. It'll either like not give you the option, or if it gives you the option, it'll say that you don't have the rights to like modify it in that way, since when you're calling it from MKCAD into an assembly, it's just doing the same thing as inserting it from another document. So by importing it into a separate part studio and then changing the quality, that's how we would make it coarser tessellation quality rather than that automatic that it's saved at from the file we're importing. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. Oh, let me see. Can the meet see the slideshow? No. All right. next, with like your document organization, there's like two main strategies that I see, and like there's some intermingling of both. So the first style is like a Git style approach. So for our programmers, this is like what you'll see on GitHub with like a massive timeline. And this allows it to be all contained within one OnShape document. It gives everyone a clear timeline of like how things are progressing with like clear version names. And it lets like your programming subteam very easily look at it and understand what you're doing, since it's very similar to stuff that they're doing. And then something other teams will also do is multiple document approach. So they start with one document and they'll like name it the XXX-000. So the XXX, that's their like team name. So for us, it would be 525-000, and that 000 is just saying that that's the main origin document. And then from every subsequent document, so like say next, they in that document they made their drive base. Then next they like copy that workspace and start making an intake in a separate document. What they'll do is they'll have their team name or team number -1000, and then they'll do it for the next one. Say they did their shooter angle, they would do their team number -2000. And what this does is it's like easier to see it from like your OnShape menus, but it means you'll have to be clicking around a lot. It'll create faster load times since you won't have all of that contained within one document. And this could make it easier to divide into subgroups, since you wouldn't have to care as much about like, oh, are you on the intake branch? So for an example, this is not from us, but this shows like the Git style approach for like a fully CADed robot. It's a little hard to see, but all these different colors here, those are different branches for their different aspects of the robot. It's contained within all that one document with that main blue timeline across all of it. And you can merge branches just like Git, and like similar to Git, where it'll show you like the differences within this file. You'll see like within Part Studio, this edit was made, and you'll be able to like edit the Part Studio to get like the perfect mix of it. You'll be able to edit the different files to get exactly what you want from each version, and you'll merge it into that main one once you like get something done. You're able to see this on the slideshow by zooming in for those who want to go to the link and get a closer look at what this is. For the multiple document approach, this is what we do like most of the time. We do it a little less organized than what we probably should be doing. Up top, this is an example of like what we did for Grasshopper over there. So we had a separate document that contained all of our hanger information. So that had all the different part studios for our hangers, that had the different assemblies for each side of the hanger, and it was contained with one document. And then we would import that document into a different main document, and the same with the upper intake. One example for like how to really organize this, I'm gonna switch the view for the other people. But one of the top teams in the world, what they do is a multiple document approach. Mechanical Advantage 6328. They're an open alliance team, so I was able to find their CAD documents and like see what they're doing. So they have this main document here. Their 24 is the year, and then 000, that's the main document. So they have the assembly with their full robot here. They have it on very fine tessellation quality for their renders. I don't think I'll be able to load it anytime soon. So I'm gonna go to like where they start with. So they start off with a sketch like this, and what they'll do is they'll copy this workspace for each different subsystem that they want to work on. and they'll use this sketch to define the subsystem that they're going to work on. And so under this directory, we can see the different documents they have. Like 1000 is their drive base. So if I click on that, that'll take me to here, where I don't know if it'll load. Don't want to save that. So this is their document for just the drive base. And under here, I think this is their sketch for the different aspects of the drive base. Yeah, so here you can see it's the same top-down sketch. It has a little less detail because they would have copied the workspace before it had all that fancy stuff. But you can see they copied it with like the remnants of their intake sketch here. They have their shooter bed sketch, so they know exactly where everything's going. And then they just use this sketch to fully define their the rest of their drive base, and they would do this for every single subsystem and make a new document with a name similar to this one for each. The tab is not being shared. Next, this is kind of early concepting. So again, with their top-down, there's like two kind of strategies to go with top-down sketching, or not top-down sketching, early concepting. So one idea here is this idea of a top-down sketch. So with Mechanical Advantage, again, you can see this like top-down view of like exactly what they plan their robot to do with having like the bumper here. They had these intake wheels defined with like a distance from the floor here, and they just work from that to concept it, and they go based off the dimensions in the manual. Let me see. Let me try and share an example.
Maybe an important point.
Yep.
We spent a lot of time last year discussing whether to have the intake internal or external.
Yeah.
If you notice, their intake is inside the bumper but external to the wheel.
Yeah.
Something we didn't consider.
A lot of teams did that. So let me share the tab I'm actually on.
Two choices. There was actually another choice that they sets up wheels. And it's built with a bumper from the intake, but the wheels and all that mechanism was inside the intake.
So I kind of copied this idea of like the top-down sketches other teams are doing to the what we actually have on our robot. Of course, we didn't actually end up like we didn't do a top-down sketch when we were deciding this. We just kind of did it based off prototypes and what we saw working. But this is a top-down sketch of like the drive base of our 2024 robot. And so in this blue color, this is the side view of our intake rollers. And you can see here that the distance between the rollers is defined as 1.75. So the idea of like compressing the note here, we have the wheel here 2 inches from the center, or 2 inches from the ground. We have this bottom wheel 3/4 of an inch from the ground, and we have that front wheel 1 inch and 3/8 inside our drive base. And if we click check on that, we can see from the front here, this is the little cutout of where it'll be cut through on our drive base. And we can see that this wheel is within, the note will slide under in this orange. We can see that the cutout again here from the top, the note's able to slide through. We're able to drive over the note and still pick it up. Another strategy for your like early concepting is a tool that's like housed within MK-CAD. It's called Crayon CAD, and the goal of it is for like very, very early concepting. So this is what you'd use like moments after the kickoff video is shown. You'll like go to this, you'll put in a drive base, and you'll put in whatever you think is necessary to pick up the game piece. So let me show this. So I have it under here in assembly 1 under the concepting folder. So in MKCAD, which is an app we should all have installed, we can scroll down here. I think I scrolled past it. Crayon CAD right here. There's a massive drop down with all these different configurable assemblies. And so like if I wanted an arm to like hang, we could say that it was a rectangular arm. The length, we'd have it at like 10 inches. We can have the height, whatever, with whatever. It's very like intuitive for what you want to do. So this is kind of like an early something we could have done for our 2024 robot. So what we would have done is we would have imported this swerve here. And if I go to edit, change configuration, the length of this year's robot was 34 inches, and then the width was 25 inches. The bumper height was 7 inches because that was the max that we could get it, and we had Mark IV eyes on all the corners. And then you're able to add a team number, 525, and then the right frame cutout here is just to show what we would have for the intake. It's not like fully customizable in the sense that like we can't have this cutout in our plywood that we actually have on the robot here, but you can get an early idea for what you want, and then like you can add something else. So we knew we wanted 2 rollers to pick up the robot, or not the robot, to pick up the note. And so we would have added the horizontal roller here so that'll give us 2 rollers. We're able to change the diameter of our rollers. We planned on doing 2-inch diameter, and center to center, that's based on like how much we want to compress it. So each radius of the wheel is 1 inch, and then to get like the note only compressed to 1.5 inches, that'd be a 3.5 center to center distance. The plate thickness is 1/8 of an inch. That's just based off the aluminum stock we had. And the length of 15 inches, that's just from this view, that's the width. And so we could import that. And then what I did is I used a fasten mate here. So a fasten mate for the new people, that's up here. You can hit that or you can hit M. And so I just grabbed the center of this horizontal roller for the first mate. And then I just grabbed the top. I grabbed the top of this right here. And so initially what that's going to do is it's going to have the 2 overlapping each other with the horizontal roller sticking directly horizontally. And then what I did to modify this is I just threw in like guesstimates, since this is just for early concepting. It doesn't need to be anything final. It just gives you a good idea of where everything's going to be on your robot. So I put 1 inch for the X offset, just so it's like somewhat centered along this front edge here. And then for the Z, I just subtracted that down, since the center of this roller realistically isn't going to be like directly over top of that bar. And then the rotation angles, just to show that our top roller is going to be elevated compared to our bottom roller, so that it'll slide through and pick up. And I did rotation around Z because with the mate connector, it has the Z connector facing, or the Z axis facing straight out from that mate connector. And then it's the same ideas for the rest of the parts. Next, what I did is I imported just a generic frame for our shooter bed. And I just put in some rough estimates of like dimensions to like house a note, and then like send it through. And then these rollers up here represent our flywheels. So this is just a tool you can use for early concepting. We could have grabbed a telescoping arm here as well for like planning out how much space a hanger is going to take on the robot. But yeah, and it also shows like previous game pieces. We can get like different generic objects, just things like that. There's a bunch of different tools here for us to play around with, and this like clearance zone would be like something's going to go here, but it's hard to model it with Crayon CAD. Is that all making sense? Sorry for just talking at you right now. All right. Already went over that. Man, we're going a little faster than I thought, so we can get into day one stuff. We're gonna skip that for now. So, on to like day two stuff. What we're going to do is fully constraining some more complex sketches within OnShape. We're going to learn how to use some off-the-shelf parts while CADing, and we're going to make a gear train within OnShape. So, let me go here. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Actually, since we're making such good progress, does everyone want to take a break right now? We'll make a part 1 and part 2 video, and I'll come back to the meet here soon.